Hey everyone, welcome to PlutoCon. As a part of a series of videos about Pluto's development, I would like to show off a new upcoming feature, the built-in package manager. Before I show off the feature, first I will show why we're working on this feature and also a bit of context about package environments in Julia. So first of all, what are the problems with packages in Pluto? It's really the main problem is kind of beginner and intermediate users. So when you launch Pluto or maybe even Julia for the first time, you will do add Pluto, which will install Pluto, and then you do import Pluto, Pluto run. Then you open your first notebook and someone told you, Plots is a really cool package. It's really useful. So you type using Plots and boom, it doesn't work because Plots is not installed. It's telling you can do import pkg add plots, like the command it says here. And that actually works. You can paste that in your notebook and run it. It takes quite a long time because it's plots. But yeah, now we will install plots in your global environment and install the required dependencies, precompile, etc. And then you have a notebook where you use plots, and maybe you made some kind of cool graph, and now you want to share that with your friends. So you save it and you send an email. Okay, so now let's say that I am that friend. I just got an email from someone saying, I made a cool notebook just for you. So I open it in Pluto and it's gonna give me that same error because I also don't have plots installed. So that's the first problem. We need to manually install packages right now, either when creating a notebook for yourself or when opening someone else's notebook. Then the second problem is a bit more sneaky. So even if you have packages installed and you get someone's notebook and you run it, it might not work for you. And that's because maybe you have a different version of one of the dependencies. Packages often change their API and they tag a breaking release, so a new version number. But if you just use the name of the package, there's no way to tell which of those versions you're using. So then the last problem is this really needs to be the default, like to automate all of this. Because if you can make it automatic to store version numbers in the notebook to automatically install packages, then this would be the easiest way for people to use and share code with packages. And then we have a reproducible notebook system where people are more confident to write code and you have a lot fewer problems. And it's actually really possible with Julia. And that's because Julia has a really great package manager. So let's look at what just happened. We installed plots. And so when I run Julia, by default, I'm in the global environment. And so when I call status in my package REPL, you see all the packages that are installed in this global environment, which includes Pluto and plots, which we just installed. So this is the global environment, and you see that I have lots of packages here. But then let's look at the really cool feature in Julia, which is you can create new environments super quickly. So I think I have a folder called cool project. Yeah, file exist. Okay, so Julia, and now I will activate cool project as a directory. And cool project, I have it here. So right now you see the folder is empty, and that's because the project is empty. And now if I do something like add CSV, it's going to create two files. One is called the project toml, which just contains a list of all the direct dependencies, the packages that I actually want to use. And then there's a second file called the manifest.toml, which contains all packages also the ones that CSV depends on. So for example, CSV depends on dates, and then dates is also in this list. And so dates is a standard library, and for all packages that are not standard libraries, it includes the exact version number of the package you're using. So this means if you have someone's manifest.toml, then you can exactly recreate their package environment, which is what we want. So the idea is to use this feature of Julia, creating small projects, small package projects for each notebook, and kind of automate that and create a nice user interface. And so what's cool about Julia is you can create a new package environment with very low overhead. So Julia has a global package cache, which means that if I have 10 projects and I install plots on each of them, it's actually only going to install it once on my computer. And those 10 projects are just, they're just like, they record which version I'm using, but they don't actually need to store a complete copy of all the packages. Okay, let's go to the demo. So when beginners open Pluto and Julia for the first time, they type using plots and it doesn't work because it's not installed. And it gives you instructions to install it in the global environment. So then what you end up with is the second reason: people have notebooks with top level imports. And when you share those with other people, they probably won't work, or at least not with the same versions. So we want to put the manifest.toml file inside the notebook. Currently, the official workaround is to have a cell like this, where you have one big cell where you do import pkg, and then you call pkg activate on your own manifest, or you have these pkg add calls. This has a couple of problems. Mainly, it's not what beginners would try first. Right, so what we made is if you type using a package name, it starts searching for that package. And once it's found, it says JSON will be installed in the notebook when you run this cell. And so let's do that. And you see on the left, I have the notebook open in VS Code. And using JSON ends up in the file, but also we put the project toml and the manifest toml right there. And so when you open someone else's notebook, it takes those project and manifest contents, writes it to a temporary directory, and it activates it as the package environment for the notebook process. So we also set the load path to be just a standard library and the notebook environment. So the global package environment does not influence the notebook process. And so I can keep doing this, adding more packages, plots, so it may take some time, message back. And so in the case of dates, it says it's part of Julia's pre-installed standard library. I can also do the same package twice, and it's fine, it understands. And I can use them straight away. Okay, so right now you see our project toml contains our direct dependencies, so dates, JSON, and message pack. And then it has automatically written semantic version compatible compatibility ranges, which is cool. So now if I, for example, delete this line, that's fine because JSON is still there. But now if I delete this line, first of all, you see that in the project toml, dates and message pack got deleted, the compatibility bounds got deleted, and the manifest got updated. And now it's also telling me that I should restart the notebook. I can just click the button, and then it will do that. And now because it restarts and it's loading this notebook, it's going to instantiate from this project toml and manifest toml. Okay, cool. So how do you disable it? How do you do advanced things like develop local packages. So it's actually exactly the same as before. And this is also a notebook running in the new version of Pluto. And you see that here we don't have these check marks. And that's because if your notebook does pkg.activate or pkg.add anywhere in your notebook, it disables all of these new features, and it's exactly like it is today in Pluto. So yeah, notebooks like this still work, and this is also how you would set up a more advanced package environment. So I can actually do that right now. So say that like import pkg, pkg.activate, temporary directory, add JSON, and then using JSON. Now if I run this, I think it is going to fail, but it's telling me that I should restart the notebook. So I'm just going to do that. And you see it also deleted this new project toml manifest toml from the notebook file, because this notebook file is now managed by an explicit call to pkg activate. All right. I would love to hear your feedback. Have a look at the pull request. It's number 844, and it has more information, my enormous to-do list, and also something I made is you can edit notebook environments using the pkg REPL. So watch this video. Yeah. Oh, and one more thing. It's actually really easy to try this out yourself. So you just open Julia, then you activate the temporary directory, and then you say add Pluto, add branch, experiment, package UI number 2. So this is loading, and then you just run Pluto as usual. Okay, well, then you just run Pluto as usual.
Okay, Fons, that was amazing.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
we get great feedback both at the YouTube chat and the Discord. Benjamin, do you have any questions?
Yes. How can you update your packages? Because it's very good that the package version and all dependencies are fixed by the project toml or at the manifest toml, but there may be there may be situations where you want to update your packages to new versions.
Right. So it's maybe interesting to say the history of this feature. So like packages in Pluto has been a problem for a long time. And that's why I think this is really important. So the first idea that I tried was next to every package, we'll put a drop-down menu where you can select the version of that package. And you can look in the GitHub pull request history and you'll find that pull request and you can try it out. But then I had a call with the PKG developers who gave the amazing suggestion to not do that, because why would you want an old version of a package? That doesn't make any sense. Or at least that's a pretty advanced use. And for advanced use, you can do PKG activate. But it does leave the question of how do you update? Because if you made your notebook a couple of years ago, it would be nice if you could update. And also packages like Pluto that release like new versions every couple of days. You want the latest features. One thing I thought was like, okay, I just don't implement this yet. And as long as I implement it within a couple of months, then people will be able to update like in a couple of months when that feature comes out. But yeah, maybe that will be a problem. So this is something that needs to be done. The other thing I
when you just run a package update in a cell one time.
Yeah, so that's what I don't want that people do PKG calls. Of course, it should be just like a GUI that's telling you these packages should be updated. It fits within your semantic versioning compatibility, so let's do it. Or maybe before you launch the notebook, it might update them automatically or something. Although not automatically, but easily. One thing I showed at the end, but kind of too fast, was I added something where you can do you can do Pluto pkg.activate, and then you give it a notebook file, and then it will pretend that that notebook file is actually a directory with a project and manifest toml, and then we'll use file events to synchronize the two. So then you can open the pkg REPL and do update, and then it will synchronize those changes back into the notebook file. And then also you can open the notebook file, make changes, and then they will go back into your REPL. So right now, that's how you would update a package environment inside a notebook. But yeah, that should be a button. I think it's on the to-do list.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have another question from Linus. Why disable on pkg add and not on using pkg?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's a good question, and we could talk about this more, and that would be valuable actually. The reason I thought could be nice to just use pkg for something other than manipulating your environment. But if you can come up with edge cases, let me know.
And I also have a question from me. So about the file that gets saved, right?
Yeah.
Will this always be there at the beginning of a file, unless you do advanced pkg stuff, so you always have this long thingy thing?
Yeah, so it will be there. It will be there at the end of the file instead of at the beginning. So that makes it a bit better. But it will be there. And so especially when you use a package like Plas, which has an enormous list of indirect dependencies, your manifest will be quite large. But I think it's a lesser evil. So it's still a plain text file. You can still git diff. And if you don't change your packages, then it's not going to change. I think it's easy to ignore if you're trying to just read the file. But it's really the lesser evil compared to all these reproducibility problems. So we could, for example, just do the direct dependencies, so only the project toml. But yeah, let's just do the manifest toml, and then this problem will be solved forever.
I think it's better to with the manifest, the current approach. I think this is really this is the one really guarantees 100% reproducibility. And
imagine, for example, if people file a bug report to your package, and then they upload a Pluto notebook, and you're like, yes, Pluto notebook. So I just I have the exact words, and I don't need to ask for that, and I don't need to reproduce it, etc. Yeah.
I think the only thing which is not fixed yet is a Julia version, right? And the Pluto version, of course.
Wow, that's actually a very good one. So Julia version is not fixed. Maybe we should. I don't know. Yeah. And then finally, I'd like to mention reproducibility, some of it is state, which Pluto solved. Some of it is the package problem, which we're trying to solve. And then the other thing is, how do you get your data dependencies declaratively as part of your notebook, so that people, if they have your notebook, they can actually run it. And kind of data is the last one on the list that we need to solve. There's some work by Chris Foster to have a data.toml, datasets.toml. Maybe we can integrate this the same way that we integrate project and manifest. But if you feel like you're familiar with this subject, let us know, and I think we can have good discussions about this. Okay. In that case, I'm gonna end my own talk, and we'll finally do the closing words to PlutoCon. So see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.